What? We should be live. Everything sound okay, guys? Everything going? Just peachy keen?
You're very... That's a very loud and enthusiastic scream you have there, Gonzo. Hello!
It's really excited to be back.
I'm excited.
Yes.
I didn't get to go anywhere, unlike y'all. Y'all got to go get liquor. I have to get everything pre-done and have it all up and ready.
Yeah, I didn't go outside today.
Neither did I.
I don't know what you're on about.
Yeah, I don't know about y'all. I don't get to buy liquor on Sunday. You know, I am in the South. So,
I mean,
So Smokey and the Bandit.
So welcome to episode, Kathy?
72. I think I said with not quite the certainty I usually have.
There's got to be a way to figure this out for sure.
Right? Like going on to
72.
72.
Almost like I watched episode 71 earlier because I wasn't on it.
I should just trust myself.
Yeah. Episode 72. We're going to talk about a little bit of Adepticon coming up in 2 weeks. There are some predictions.
9 days.
9 days.
FYI.
Yeah.
9 days.
Did you have some pause? 2
weeks. Tick, 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 tick.
Not long. And we're doing kind of like predictions of what people are going to be bringing out. Different people, different games, things I've heard of what's going to be there.
What have you heard?
I have heard some rumors.
Wait, we've lost a couple people since the pre-ramble.
The preamble's the interesting part. And everyone else like, we're out.
We're out. We're done.
Yeah.
Screw that.
We quit this bitch.
We done.
Kind of feel sad.
So, we always lose a few, and then it comes back up because those usually bots.
On though, apparently.
If you're watching on Facebook, hey Jason, thanks for watching, buddy. We appreciate it. I am actually working. We are a media partner with Breachstorm, and they sent me 2 of their starter boxes. Of course, the Zrintharar Pride and the Homeworld Confederacy. I've already put some Confederacy together before, and I've gotten 3 of the cats put together during the pre-ramble. 2 of these guys.
Hey, Brian. I see you.
Hey, Brian. And then one of these guys, or girls, I guess. I don't know. And then I'm working on, this guy looks like he's got a shotgun of some sort. And putting them together. He's got a full face mask.
Breachstorm is going to be running demos at Adepticon, Crimson. Crimson asked what's happening with Breachstorm. So,
yep, he will be there at Adepticon running demos again. Don't know where his booth is, but he does say it on there.
It's not a gigantic space, and it's not like Gen Con where you can get lost, so it should be pretty easy to stumble across.
Yeah. Last year, he was at the second entrance to the vendor room. Like, I feel like you were going in underneath the stairs, and you went out on the far right-hand side. He was over there. That's where he was. So other than that, we are episode 72. John, do we have anybody we need to give a shout out to?
Not that I'm aware of. Not anyone that would be, this sounds terrible, but missed on sort of like a global level. There's a local celebrity died in my area. Through traffic guy we all knew, which is sad, but and a bunch of other people who I didn't really recognize. Nothing I'm in, but, no one big, I don't think.
Kathy, what are you drinking today?
I am drinking a gin and tonic.
Oh, shit.
And, Jim is making me tea, which will probably be jasmine tea, which I love. So.
Will it whistle whenever it's ready? I guess, Kathy, will it whistle when it's ready?
I am answering Crimson's question in the chat. How many people does Adepticon get thinking of going next year? About 5,000. I was just going to type that out while you were talking, but I can say it out loud.
And type it. There you go, both.
So, yeah. So, Adepticon draws around 5,000 people. It still has a healthy Games Workshop scene. For a while, Games Workshop kind of yanked their sponsorship, and everybody went along and still did the tournaments and everything as usual. There was just less prize support, but since GW has kind of turned the ship around and righted its course, they have come back to Adepticon.
It sounds really terrible when you say yanked their sponsorship. Really fair to say they stopped sponsoring everything.
Yeah.
They did. It wasn't just Adepticon. You're right.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we did something wrong and they said, screw you.
It was like a corporate decision to, that's not worth any money. And then they realized, oh no, that's worth much more in goodwill than we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Building the community actually matters, it turns out.
What? Building a community matters? That is mad.
So it's good to see Games Workshop back, and we love what they are doing these days. And but among them is Privateer Press. They will be there, with tournaments and running demo events, and the smaller ones like Breachstorm, like Arena Rex. There's a few other ones, and why I'm just spacing it.
Want to get through our alcohol first, then we can get.
Out, I guess.
John, what are you drinking?
Well, I've got some Tippy Cow. It's like rum with cream, and it's
rum with cream.
It's like called Shamrock Mint, so it's kind of apropos.
That smells sort of like
smells like a thin mint, pretty much.
Like mint and rum together. That almost sounds like my vanilla orange Coke and rum, which, while it sounded good to me, it did not in fact taste good.
It tastes like diabetes, I'm sure.
It didn't sound like it.
No, I like the vanilla orange Coke by itself, but it just doesn't go well with rum.
My boss said it was very sweet. We decided probably mix it with vodka. Take away
that would be the better choice.
There you go. And I'm going to follow this up since there's not much of it because I want to bring the whole bottle up. I have some Jim Beam vanilla mixed with Dr. Pepper. And then just in case, I've got these little Hershey's Cookie Layer Crunches mints if I want to try and cram one of those in my mouth with the Tossy Cow.
Grasshopper pie.
It is. It's a little thicker, a little less mint, a little more chocolate, but it's pretty tasty.
Beanian's drinking rum chata.
No, he's not.
And I have to say...
He's saying it's like rum chata. He's not drinking rum chata.
Oh, it's like rum chata?
Yeah, it is sort of like rum chata.
It seemed like it would be, because that's like horchata with rum, which is different from cream with rum.
But Tossy Cow is up in, I guess, Wisconsin way up there with my old co-host. And I just saw it in there, and I'm like, yeah, I try to buy something new every time, so I bought this. Gonzo, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a port today. Bin 42. Not a lot today because I got other things I have to do today, and I don't want to be too snickered tonight.
What? Sounds like your co-host has been drinking since noon.
What? I haven't been drinking since noon.
That's why it was one of your co-hosts, not yourself.
Okay, I've only been drinking since 10.
That's before noon.
So, all right. So
even with time zones, that's before noon.
For everybody out there, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Be safe out there. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Sláinte.
Oh. Damn, that's good. I am such a sucker for port. So today we're going to talk about Adepticon. It's coming up in 9 days, as Kathy has said. Adepticon is one of my favorite conventions to go to, and I'm very bummed that I'm not going to be able to make it this year.
It is so sad. It is also one of my favorite conventions to go to.
Yeah. It is one of my top 2 conventions. I will try to go to it every single time I can, except for this year I can't, so I'm really bummed. So I'm hoping next year I get to go to it. And that all depends on when they decide to do it next year and if my spring break is during that time. It's the only reason I usually get to go because my spring break is this week, which sucks because I can't go. But I really like Adepticon. It seems like the gamers of gamer type convention. It's got a lot of people in it, and of course we have someone that does know a lot about about Adepticon. Um,
That has to be Kathy, because it sure ain't me.
yeah, it is Kathy. So, Kathy, what do you actually do for Adepticon, and what? Give us a breakdown of what Adepticon is for the people that just kind of don't know. And if you don't know, you will.
It started out about 15 years ago or so as a Warhammer tournament, and that's all it was for the first couple years. And they added what was then Warhammer Fantasy, and then when Lord of the Rings, started to grow, they added Lord of the Rings, and then they decided they should be more inclusive of other games a few years back. So now it's all, Privateer Press and Guild Ball and Infinity and Saga. Actually, Saga is one that I think would be tremendously fun to learn. I don't have enough space, money, or time to learn all the games I want to, but I did a demo of Saga last year, and it was so much fun, and I really liked the mechanics of it.
I can say preach that, Kathy, because that's the way it is with all of us. I got games and models, and I'm like sitting in the back where I'm like, I may never get back to that game.
Yeah. So, I mean, Mantic is there with their Kings of War tournament and everything. Mm-hmm. There's just a crap ton of tabletop wargaming tournaments. And there's a ton of other, wargame companies that are there just to do demos, to sell their product, like Wild West Exodus and Breachstorm, like Trevi's game. And it is just, it's not huge like Gen Con, so it's not overwhelming.
Well, you say that, but what's weird is it has 5,000 people show up, and you go 5,000 people. Crap, that's a ton of people, but it's nowhere near what Gen Con is.
I look at 5,000 people, and I base it on the conventions that I used to work at as a T-shirt vendor, and we used to do anime conventions and Comic Cons and media conventions and Gen Con, and those are tens of thousands.
Correct.
Yeah.
That they get. So to me, Adepticon, while at 5,000, is still pretty small. But as far as wargaming conventions go, it's the biggest one in the world for tabletop wargaming.
It's interesting. My first time there, I went to it, and people are like, "Oh, they have a 40K tournament." No, they don't have a 40K tournament. They have the 40K tournament.
They have several 40K tournaments.
Yeah. I mean, you walk in, and it's 100+ people playing. And it's huge.
It's at least 160 people for their championship tournament. And then they have team tournaments, which there's 4 guys on a side for team tournaments.
The one year I went, and they had it there last year too, was you can come in and play in the Mega Battle. And what it is at the very back of all of the 40K stuff, there's this one big table that has this large-scale battle, and that large-scale battle has so many freaking Titan-type stuff, and
Hey, Xander!
You're just this one cog in the whole entire thing, just trying to get through. And you can drop in and drop out at any time, which I thought was kind of fun, kind of cool, because it was just, hey, I want to play this big Warlord Titan that I'm never going to own, and they're like, yeah, here you go, we can let you play that. And
yeah, I love that they have a friendlies tournament too, which is of course run by John and my mutual friend Jeff Wallach and Brian Carlson. They do a fantastic job running this friendly tournament, which is a smaller Warhammer 40K tournament. And it has a theme every year. Every year they come up with like a really silly theme, and you get bonus points if you dress up thematically. And I forget what it is this year. I want to say it's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
That's awesome.
It is pretty cool.
So, I mean, you think friendly, it's still 40K. So you just have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I know that besides the 40K, they got a really good Age of Sigmar. Was pretty big. I know that whatchamacallit, Malifaux was there last year. They didn't have it as big as they did the year before.
Oh, I see a Facebook question.
Ooh.
Jason Henley says, can you still enjoy Adepticon without the competitive tournament scene? Say, for example, if you're a filthy casual?
Yes.
There is open gaming for filthy casuals.
Yep, it is. I was going to say earlier that it's sort of the difference between Gen Con and Adepticon. As Gen Con is made more for the filthy casuals, Adepticon is a little bit of both, but a little more towards people who want to have tournament play, but there is still always plenty to do for casuals.
Yeah, and so far, as it goes these days, you don't need a membership if you're not participating in events. So if you're not going to tournaments, you can just drop in and maybe stay late and catch a game or two of whatever people are playing in the hallways. Some one-off game of something.
And there's a lot of games. I mean, like the last year I went, I know I saw Malifaux, Course Privateer Press, Infinity, I don't know if it was Flames of War or something like that.
Warlord Games has a presence there, and so does Battlefront. So you've got Flames of War tournaments, and you have bolt action tournaments as well. As well as... What's that?
All the World War II.
Yeah.
All the World War II, and Warlord also has a Gates of Antares. I don't know if they have a tournament for that, but I know they're doing demos of Gates of Antares, which is their sci-fi war game.
Tournament because it's not quite taken off yet. They're still trying to build that following.
Yeah.
There's also been Guild Ball, Arena Rex, and that was where I first saw Conquest, which is actually making a pretty decent presence. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that yet. Conquest is a new fantasy regimental game where you've got blocks of units like old style fantasy. And it's got like some weird stuff. A lot of people are started talking about it. They had a huge demo display huge display table, and they just came up from a really good thing at Gamma recently.
Okay.
Oh, that's the Spanish game.
Yes, a lot of people have been talking about
that. I loved that. Last year I played a demo of that, and it was a lot of fun, and I love the lore of that world too.
Yes. A lot of people have been talking about that. The rules are free. I don't think the rules are 100% yet. But the models are insanely cool looking.
The models for the aliens are amazing and original.
Yes.
The models for the humans are
kind of like Bretonnian.
Probably good with detail, but yeah, they look like Bretonnians for Warhammer Fantasy.
Your typical medieval fantasy.
Yeah, medieval spearmen and stuff.
Yeah.
Longbowmen, etc.
I know a lot of people have been talking about that lately since Gamma kicked off because people was like, did you like old school Warhammer Fantasy with the blocks of troops and stuff, and you hate Kings of War? This is your game.
If you liked old school fantasy that much, I don't know how you could hate Kings of War. It is pretty solid.
Well, this one is supposedly the rules are much better, and a lot of people are liking it. I'm gonna have to. I know our local group is very interested in it, and I was gonna jump in and read about it and see what it was like. Because that was
the rules are free online. Might as well give them a perusal. That's the best thing. If you guys find a game that has free online rules, take a look.
Yep. Because last year, because Fantasy Flight is there, they had a huge X-Wing tournament. And then that's when they brought out Legion.
Yep.
Which everybody went gaga over.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And then, what was some other? Simon was there, which was interesting because they had some models, and I thought that were cool, but you couldn't get some of this stuff. And then they gave us Dark Age. Everybody that got a VIP kit got the Dark Age box set and 2
Dark
books.
Age has been around for freaking ever.
Yeah.
Well, luckily that's because the guy who made it owns it, so
Yeah.
he just gets someone else to distribute it for him, which is good because it means it can stay around through all the craziness.
Well, did you hear that CMON's going to be distributed by Asmodee North America now?
Yep.
We're going to talk about this?
We don't need to talk about this. We're talking about Adepticon, but it was worth mentioning. It is news in the gaming world.
No, it is good. I'm just not sure if we want to go into it because I have some pretty strong opinions.
So I just wanted to say I'm excited because my friend's game Giga Robot is doing demos at Adepticon.
I'm interested in Giga Robot. I've been following him on Twitter for a bit.
That is a card-driven miniatures game in the anime style, and it's just so much fun. It's like kind of like Monpa, kind of.
Yes.
But not, you know.
I think they were there last year, weren't they?
They were there last year, and they were there the year before last too. And it was actually a friend of mine who I've known from way back in the Chicago Battle Bunker days. And I just thought it was cool that they came up with a game that's really fun, and it's full of giant anime robots battling through the streets of, the city. The city.
I know that I heard one rumor. I don't think it's a rumor. I think they said it, but I don't know because X-Wing is starting to pick up in pretty big. It's coming back, even though I wouldn't say it's been gone. But since the changing of the rules, some people had stepped away. Say
it right, Gonzo. All the power gamers took a siesta. Yeah. So now it's significantly more interesting for casuals, like it should have been. But the tournament scene is definitely picking back up.
Yeah. Supposedly that they are bringing out a special paint job miniature. You can only get it at Adepticon. Supposedly.
Would not surprise me because they have the special Darth Vader that's only available at Star Wars Celebration.
Yep.
For Legion.
So,
we're slightly sad we can't get it, but we'll be okay. I'm sure it'll be on eBay for like too much money. That's another rant we could go on, but I won't.
Hey, Trevi.
That's fine. It's all good.
See Trevi on our Facebook chat.
Hey, Trevi. Gonzo was just talking about your cat people. The Jren Thrower.
That's what we're going to call him. Then Trevi, that's what we're calling him.
The name.
What just happened?
Oh, fine.
I don't know what happened. Okay. Okay, my co-host.
A post-ramble? There's a post-ramble now?
Oh, I mean...
I kind of like that idea, but yeah, no.
No, hey, a rant by John at the end when he has his maximum alcohol is not a good idea.
No.
Now.
Let's see. It'd be interesting to see what Privateer Press brings as exclusives, because I know that people were upset that they didn't have Source Zero there, which I wouldn't be surprised if they had.
Yeah, I'm also interested to see if they bring any demo for like Riot Quest or anything like that.
That'll be really interesting because that's their new hotness that they're working on, and I really would like to see it.
Crimson 1919 would like to say that he very much wishes they would bring it to prevent escalation.
Escalation of what?
It's Moondoggy.
He said if he doesn't have sources, I'm going to go apeshit. So, there you go. It was phrasing it nicely, but you didn't let that go, Gonzo. That's all Gonzo's fault.
Yeah. Gonzo always screws things up.
Right, Gonzo.
But Trevi, Trevi's going to be there with Breachstorm, of course.
Yeah.
You can go test those games out and give him hell. Especially when are the bugs coming out, because that's what I'm looking forward to.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a horse in that race.
I currently do not have a horse in that race either, but we'll see if it picks up locally. I might end up with a horse in that race.
I'm happy my friends are going to be demoing Wander the Cult of Barnacle Bay. That was the Kickstarter that has just been being delivered. It's in the process of being delivered to homes around the world.
Yep, we had those guys on.
The board game.
Oh, like the Dungeon Doggos, that's coming out too. They're getting delivered too.
So, yeah, that's super cool. Jim is playing in the Song of Ice and Fire tournament.
Oh, that'd be cool. Interesting.
Having never played an actual game of it and only having watched battle reports about it.
That's what I'm talking about, Jim. Sink or swim.
Yep. Well, that's kind of how I feel about the Champions tournaments and stuff, because I haven't actually played a physical game while I've played a lot of games on the app. It's just not the same, because on the app there's things that are automated that you have to remember to do in the physical game. So that should be entertaining.
Yep. I'm sure there'll be lots of... they usually have a couple of different seminars and such from companies. Because GW probably have Friday, one. FFG Thursday usually night. Has one.
Oh yeah, Fantasy Flight Games.
Because they had one last year, which is isn't that when they announced the Superstar Destroyer, or was that Gen Con? Am I mixing this?
I honestly don't know. It can't have been. Or was the Superstar Destroyer for Armada?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I can't remember either.
Yeah, I don't remember when they announced that stuff. It had to be... Yeah, well, who knows? Hopefully they'll be there announcing stuff, because I'm kind of hoping to hear when the next... box set, the next starter set for Legion comes out, because we're expecting the clones versus droids to be a starter set, and I kind of want to run a slow grow for Legion, and I'm waiting on that news. I'm hoping that news comes out. Interested to hear what GW says, as always. Moondoggy mentions that Corvus has one Adepticon, Corvus Belly. Mm-hmm. They can usually get someone big from Corvus Belly to show up too. Maybe a Bustrio will show up. I do love Carlos. He is very amusing, even if I don't follow that quite as much closely as I used to.
Yeah, they always have a fun new exclusive model.
Yeah.
Trevi did mention it was Gen Con they announced the Superstar Destroyer. Fair enough. Thanks, Trevi. I kind of got those streams crossed.
Yeah, it happens.
I know that, what was it, at Adepticon last year, they GW announced they, what's the aquatic people? And,
the Deepkin?
The Deepkin. That's where they announced the Deepkin last year.
That's cool. I mean, people are hoping for a Space Marine Codex. I'm kind of hoping to hear if those catechins are coming out or not, like I've heard rumors of.
Yeah.
Do have a soft spot for catechins.
You know what I'm really interested in 40K wise?
What?
The tournament. Because last year, the tournament, I don't want to say they have controversy, but there's always...
the live stream of the championship?
Yeah, there's always something that goes on, or people that go weird with it, where, slow play and all that stuff, and they started introducing...
That happened at LVO, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to me,
Las
Adepticon...
Vegas Open, for those that don't know.
To me, Adepticon is the place where you go for 40K. And where the 40K tournaments, and they're the ones that kind of make all the changes and decisions. So I'm kind of curious of what's going to happen. If there's going to be something going on, if they change up, if they do death clocks, because that's something that people
They've talked about doing chess clocks for it, which is hilarious, honestly. Because it's funny that they're sort of going that way, and I think PP needs to move away from chess clocks, the regular, just time turns like it used to be. And it's just funny. Sort of full circle like that with that one, and another one going, we need to do this just to promote a little bit of, fairness is a really horrible way of saying it, but...
Yeah.
Ha! Trevi goes competitive Warhammer is so cute and funny.
Well, I mean, it goes to show what happens when you take a game that is made mostly just for shits and giggles, have some fun in your basement, play some games, your local gaming store, and you go tournament rules. It requires a lot of extra stuff.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, because that's usually where some of the things start going on and going strange, where they're like, oh, so and so, he got one turn in the championship.
But this is also the tournament where they tend to figure things out.
Correct. That's the reason why I'm very interested in it this year.
Because the other one's like, oh, no, this isn't going to go on like this. This is going to happen.
Yeah. That's the reason why I'm very interested in that. And I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to go. Because, so we were talking to somebody and they brought it up. And they were like, because money is on the line. And that kind of is what's going on with it.
Makes people crazy.
Yeah. But there is something different about Adepticon than all the other conventions that most everybody, some people complain about and some people are happy with it. And that is Adepticon requires fully painted. So, Kathy, where did that decision come about? Because that's kind of interesting.
What? It's always been that way since. I don't know. I'm
pretty sure the first year it was all fully painted too.
Yeah, over 10 years ago we started going, and it was always fully painted. And I was a paint judge for the Warhammer Fantasy tournaments back then, which really fun job, incidentally. Getting to look at all of the armies and watch them and judge them. But no, it was fun, and we had a good gang of folks walking through the tables and doing the judging, and they had a rubric. They had like a scale and a paper, and you basically graded it up to a certain point, where then it became more subjective. But up to a certain point, everybody had the chance to get, so many points towards their overall score for the tournament. So, if you want the maximum points, but you don't necessarily care about winning best painted, well, now, as long as you paint it basically and then do a little bit of something for shading and highlighting, you're golden. Yeah. Really, you get maximum points.
Well, I know that, some people scoff at that just because it's like, well, you're telling me what to do with my army. And I'm like, well, it's their convention. They can tell you what to do with their army.
Honestly, you can paint your army, and someone did, like Hello Kitty, and have pink Necrons.
Yep.
Which was fantastic. And nobody's telling you how to paint them. They're just telling you have to paint them.
Correct.
If you want to participate in the tournament. Otherwise, there's plenty of other conventions, plenty of other tournaments, plenty of other events where you can take your, plastic non-primed models, to go have fun.
So, I was hoping you guys wouldn't bring this up because I'm firmly on the opposite fence. While I have no problem with certain events being fully painted, like if you're playing in the 40K championship, yeah, for fuck's sake, bring your painted models. There's a lot of tournaments you should. But other than that, it's an exclusionary thing, and we cannot be exclusionary in a niche hobby.
I'll tell you what, though.
People, it's just bad. It starts noble, and they have no ill intentions. I know a lot of the guys involved in there, they have no ill intentions. They just want to represent the best of the hobby, and I understand that. But it's a slippery slope. I think they're handling it well. I always hope against hope that it doesn't start to become too much because you get fractious and you don't want that.
Well, I mean, when you have 160 people playing in an Age of Sigmar tournament and they all manage to paint their models, and there's people on the waiting list for it, I don't think there's going to be a problem. I mean, it's one of... if you want to play it,
that's what the tournament's a problem with. It's for other stuff. You start to get exclusionary. You really, it's a bad precedent to set.
But I'll tell you, I have judged armies where not every model was painted, too. I've judged armies where there were people who just had a unit or two that were just bare plastic. Did they get the maximum paint score? No.
No.
But they were still allowed to play.
Good. I don't ever want it to become that, because that is a slippery slope that leads to terrible things. elitism, the old guys club, which happens a lot in gaming in general, and we don't want that.
See, and I don't think of it as elitism. I mean, seeing no offense to some people who paint their models for Adepticon, but seeing some of the paint jobs, all they're looking for is a 3-color minimum, which sometimes is
you said
primer.
that now you have to go and add, some washes and some shading. You're adding stuff to people who maybe don't want to do that. That's not
You
what
don't
they get
have
from the
to.
hobby.
If it all depends on, if you care about the soft scores, or do you want to just win best general, then it doesn't matter.
That's another whole other category of soft scores. Being, I have no problem with best painted being an award and all that stuff, but I don't really necessarily in the main tournament have a problem with overall being factor in painting, but this is a game we are playing. It should be about the game, less about the painting. But neither here nor there. This is a discussion we could have all day long. I don't think they've gone wrong yet. Alan Blunt on Facebook mentions that banning unpainted does shrink player pool, and that is potentially a problem. Not a problem for an event like them. I just don't ever want it to become a problem. So I always keep an eye on that.
I just want to say hi, Alan. I hope you're at Adepticon this year because I want to hug you.
Oh, I don't know. He's got a plan to do some stuff. I don't know if it involves going to Adepticon. Maybe he'll let us know. So Trevor had a quick question while we're on the topic, real quick. What do people think about using whether your army is painted or not as a tiebreaker for final placement? I have no problem.
I don't know.
Problem at all. Final placement. As long as it's advertised beforehand, it's just as good as any other way of figuring it out. I mean,
my problem with that is, are you talking about, hey, is it fully painted, or hey, is someone a better painter than someone else?
Because fully painted,
absolutely not. It would just be, is it red? Or if you're doing like 3-color minimum as a requirement for bringing models, but honestly, I think I would stick to just using it for soft scores and not have it be something that's a tiebreaker.
Soft scores affect actual placement, so how it
that's
the discussion we're having. It's like I said, they're not doing it wrong. I feel like they do a good job of trying to keep it there, and like I said, their heart's in the right place with it. It's just one of those things that we all need to be cognitive of, just because it could end poorly, and I don't want it to end poorly ever.
Well, the one thing, what's interesting is, going back on the painted thing, this tournament, or I want to say tournament, this convention also is and I consider, the largest and most prestigious painting competition also, which is the Crystal Brush.
Those should be separate.
Yeah. No, yeah, it is.
The Crystal Brush is a whole separate different thing than any wargame.
Yeah, but
we've had a Crystal Brush at Drop Zone back in the day, and it was totally separate from our War Machine events and everything.
Yeah, it is. I'm just saying,
to be honest.
That is, and it's a very big, prestigious thing about it, and I like that there is a prestigious type, I won't say tournament, but competition. But I know that at one time last year, there were people complaining about it because, hey, Trevi, I got all the cats put together. They're going in here so I can put them so people can play with them. That it's gotten to be a popularity contest lately.
That what has? I'm sorry.
The Crystal Brush has gotten to be a popularity contest at one point.
Well, anytime you have online voting,
correct,
that's what you're going to get.
Correct. Which I think is interesting, because I don't want to say technically, but I would actually love to see it just judged by judges and not by anybody particular.
A lot of people would like it to be judged by just judges. A lot of people.
I agree. There is a little bit of popularity contest in that too, but it is less so.
Correct.
They are always, all the judges I've ever seen for Crystal Brush or Golden Demon or anything, are willing to step outside, even though they know the guy, they know he paints well, step outside and actually critique and look at newcomers coming.
It's true. I mean, every model that's won Crystal Brush has absolutely deserved to. They've been amazing pieces. It's not like a bunch of people voted up some, something, my friend who's never painted before put in just because, they all upvoted it. It's not like that.
No. There's, the people that have won definitely were great, solid painters. It's just, I would personally myself, I would love to see that go away. And I would rather have people that are judges doing that than letting that little score from popularity get into the factor.
Yeah. Well, it's always been, I mean, years ago in the midst of time, it was the Rogue Demons. So it was kind of a sort of a knockoff of the Golden Demons.
Yeah.
Yep.
And people felt like they could put their, stuff that they've painted for their armies in, in the contest and stuff. But Simon decided they wanted to, to run a spectacular miniature painting competition, and that's what they've been doing, and they get people in from all over the world, and their forum, the Cool Mini or Not forum on look it up.
Page, actually,
the Cool Mini or Not forum, that's where you judge other people's models, and it always has been. You post pictures of your models and other people judge them, and that's always how it's been. And so that is part of the competition.
It is. But there is also a lot of money behind that painting competition, too. That's the reason why it's pretty prestigious and people,
they've kind of cut back on that, though, I have to say.
Have they?
Their prizes are different than, like, when they first started. It was $10,000 for the overall winner, and for the second place it was $5,000, and for the third place it was $1,000, and now it's different. And I don't remember exactly how, because I don't really, it's funny, as a miniature painter you would think I would pay attention to that, but I really don't. I am not a competition painter. So
to be fair, Kathy, I have accepted entries to Golden Demon multiple times. Not everyone who enters them are competitive miniature painters either. I've had all sorts of kids who bring me models that have no place there, and I just smile and take it and put it right next to the rest of them with the rest of them, because,
back when they had games,
he's proud of that.
North
It's all
America,
good. Yeah, fair.
I did put my share of entries in, and I did win my share of trophies, but that was, a long time ago, and I feel like I don't require the accolades anymore.
Yeah, they only go so far. But in any case, back to Adepticon. What else do we expect or hope to see there after our little...
There is something that we do need to talk about Adepticon that I think is really cool, which I didn't know of until my second time there, because I was there...
Pizza? Is it pizza?
No, it's not pizza.
It's probably pizza.
I've already had the pizza. I was done with the
Italian beef sandwich.
No.
Oh.
There's one that's really, really cool, and you get to hang out, and you get to chill, and you get to do whatever you want.
Gosh, where could that be? Oh, Banion says Lou's Pizza. Lou Malnati's, I bet. Is that what you're talking about, Banion? The Lou Malnati's.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
I think what we're really talking about is the awesome thing of Fort Wapple.
The Hobby Lounge? Also,
Hobby Lounge.
Yeah, they do call it Fort Wapple. So if people ever say so-and-so's over at Fort Wapple, they mean the Hobby Lounge, which is under the escalators in the hotel, next to the hobby seminar rooms.
Which is a great place to go and just take a break. Going back to the Adepticon, taking a break is a must at conventions.
Yes. And that's what Alan Blunt said he was going to miss the most, since he's not going to be there, is hanging out in the painting lounge and all.
Yeah. Hitting out and just chilling at the painting lounge, and also like upstairs. They've got some really cool stuff right upstairs above that painting lounge.
They have a bar right upstairs above and a coffee shop.
Yeah. Because there's like some really comfy couches around, some chairs and tables that you can just chill and relax.
Yeah, and there's a gas fire there. It's very cozy.
Yes. That was the one thing I was like, that need to go disappear for a few minutes. So that was another thing. Other thing, so if you go, make sure you go check out the painting area and hang out with some of the painters because everybody is usually really chill and really good and really nice. They just want to hang out and paint and talk and do stupid stuff.
Yeah,
So.
that's right, Banyan. The 1-2-3 rule.
That's every day, though.
One shower, 2 meals, and at least 3 hours of sleep. Doubly so at a con because there are other people around.
Yes.
If I'm at home all day and I'm not going out, I don't need to go 1-2-3. I do whatever I want. I'm at home.
But,
Xander says, I've really enjoyed hobby rooms. It allows me to focus on painting while still being a little social.
Yep.
Yep.
There's a lot of people that do that.
Alcohol and coffee in the upper realm. In all caps, he's shouting it. And if you know Alan,
I will miss you, Alan.
I haven't seen Alan in years. Pretty much since he moved away, unfortunately. But in any case, I am actually going to try and go to Adepticon next year. I have to get stuff in order, but we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Definitely going to try next year if it's around
the right time. They didn't move it this year because my so actually another funny joke note is that my coworker who sits next to me, her husband wants to go, and we might try and work something out where we split a room or something.
Oh yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Bedion says, "You social, like being social." Well,
have you met
what
Banyan?
if social? What if social? I've not met Banyan. Are you kidding? Wait,
Exactly.
I haven't. Have I?
No, you haven't.
What if it being social included playing Zombicide?
You might get him for that.
You know, because that's one of I'm gonna bring it. I bring it every year just in case. Just in case. You know, it's like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, and you just need to,
unwind,
kill zombies with friends.
Oh, I forgot about one other thing.
Zombies with friends.
One other thing I thought was really cool about Adepticon, and that is the player sell table, whatever they call, where players sell where attendees get to sell their own stuff.
Oh, the bazaar kind of it's a late night after the tournaments are over up in one of the hallways where people can just unload their old, their miniatures and stuff that they don't want anymore.
Yes.
So people just selling off their stuff to other people who want it.
Yeah, which was really I got some good deals last year. I got 2 units of Iron Fang Pikemen and a bunch of other Khador stuff for like $20. And I was like, yep, definitely like that part. So, there's a lot of cool things.
Also, there is now an app for Adepticon.
Yep.
The mobile app for Adepticon 2019. It has...
They're not calling it Adepticon?
No, thank goodness. Important information for all the things that you want to do or find. And I think it has a map, so it will tell you how to get to the places that you need to go and everything. I think that will be
well, last year,
very helpful.
For the people that didn't go, you had an app, I can't remember what it was called, that did that. But at first, we weren't going to get the Dark Ages starter set and books, and they came in late, and we got a message through that app saying, hey guys, they're in, you can come and get your stuff now.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting when that happened.
Yeah, I think last year there was some terrible weather that was stalling people from arriving at the convention, and yes. those people were some of the people, and so yeah, there's a lot of people delayed last year by weather on the first day.
It's making pew pew noises. Oh my God.
Is that how the sound effects go, Trevi? Is it?
Is he doing it right, Trevi? I don't know what gun he's got there. He's shaking too much for me to tell.
What is happening?
This is what being crazy feels like.
I'm working on the whatchamacallit, guys. The Homeworld Confederacy. Homeworld Confederacy.
Oh, Beanion, I would play Pandemic with you. I like that game.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, I'm out of alcohol.
Oh, no. A tragedy.
Too early to run out of alcohol.
So what else are we hoping for? I mean, we've talked about some seminars we hope happen, and announcements and all, and tournaments and all. I don't know if my buddy L Marshall's going. I hope he is because he goes to the team tournament every year, Team Handsome every year. He and some other friends of mine. Sounds like a great time. I'd like to go and check that out too, but we will see.
Well, I know. Hopefully, there's going to be. I know usually a lot of people bring special edition models or the cool stuff that nobody the early stuff. PP usually brings things that are 6 months in advance. A couple of things.
Anything they got ready to go. Yeah.
Arena Rex, I know, brought some extra stuff. Which I'll be playing a game of that this week because one of my friends that is going to Adepticon wants to play in the Arena Rex tournament. I'm like, cool. He wanted some practice games, so I'm like, cool. I'm gonna bring my Arena Rex stuff out. Which, guys, if you haven't played Arena Rex and you want a very quick, fast, and fun game, this is it. It's another.
And it doesn't take many models either.
No.
It's another kind of skirmish type of game.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because that's what everything seems to be going towards mostly.
Well, we had this discussion. It's easier to multi into skirmish games, harder to multi into army games.
Yeah. And if your skirmish game is a gateway that leads to an army game, so much the better.
Yeah.
I mean, are you talking about Kill Team, Shadespire, Night Vault? Which one?
Perhaps.
All of them?
Perhaps.
All the above. So
I got that down to a science. But yeah, just looking to see what comes out of there. Always some interesting news there. I love how in the electronic age we live in, the internet age, that if they have exclusive stuff at the convention, they announce it, and you can purchase that exclusive stuff on their website.
Yeah.
Which is great. I still have Warsenal Studio B that they sold at Adepticon 2 years ago for Infinity. I haven't put it together yet, but I have a bunch of Infinity Train I haven't put together yet. Should probably get on that as soon as I get done painting my models.
Kathy, aren't you doing a tournament at Adepticon this year, or is that just Gen Con?
I'm playing Age of Sigmar Champions, the card game that we talked about last episode.
Yes.
So Play Fusion is going to be at Adepticon. They're going to be running demo games so other people can find out how much fun it is. And they're also running tournaments. First Strike, I think, which is going to be using cards from the new set that isn't released yet, maybe. We might get a sneak peek at Savagery cards, which are coming out April, somewhere between the 5th and the 8th. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's like right after Adepticon.
Yeah.
Weird that you wouldn't release it at Adepticon, but I guess sometimes you just can't.
You know what? I think they didn't really know the power of the dark side. I don't think they really knew what Adepticon was until some of us were like, hey, you going to be at this convention? This one where there's like a bajillion fans of Warhammer?
That's probably what they weren't banking on, the power of that, as opposed to, well, it's a miniature convention, we're a card game, maybe not the right place to go.
Yeah. Well, they were at Las Vegas Open because that's a big 40K draw. And which is funny because it's Age of Sigmar, but either way, there is crossover. There is crossover from,
Antarctica. Oh, Trevi.
Hey, before we go too far, I wanted to talk to Trevi for a second. Trevi, these models, you have some models that have, the hand on the gun and you got an arm and you put them on the body. I will say, yeah, the joints, usually that is such a major pain in the ass to put together, but the shoulder joints that he's done on these, they only go one way, but it makes it so it's so much easier to put these guys together.
I have to agree with that because the metal cat person one, the Jren Thrar one that I put together that had a spear, usually when you have two separate arms that have both the hands holding onto a spear, it's really difficult to line them up, and that model went together really easily. I was actually surprised.
Yeah, they're usually always a pain.
What material are they made out of? Crimson wants to know.
What are they made out of?
Yes.
It's a resin. It is a little bit brittler than the typical resin. It kind of like the night model. I don't know if there's a particular type of what it's called, but if you've ever done a night model stuff, it's kind of like that.
You mean Batman miniatures game, right?
The Batman miniatures game, yes.
Batman miniatures game, night models, not a night model.
Correct. Night models. Trevi's in the thing. Trevi, what are they technically? Is it made out of?
He's over in Facebook chatting away.
Yeah.
Sculptors with it, and they're taking good notes from other companies because Corvus Belli's been doing some of this with Infinity, and it looks like these are actually even better than those, which is good. Because those are pretty good, but there's a little bit of play in some of them that makes it occasionally a little awkward.
Yeah, you can't be too rough with these because you know that it'll snap off. Especially the cats and stuff. They're spears. You have to be kind of careful with them. But they've got great detail. The detail's really good. You can tell, all the armor pieces. You can tell definitely the ridges and stuff. He says with a little green stuff, you can swap arms pretty easy. But it's kind of what Night models, their Batman miniatures and the Harry Potter miniatures is made out of. Resin, but a little bit brittle. You just don't go throwing them around or whatever, and be careful with the long pieces.
This just in, don't go throwing your models around and they won't break.
Oh, you guys.
Damn it. They're definitely not hard plastic.
I can throw around, but I mean, look, this guy, this guy, he'll be fine.
Hey, Trevor, while you're in here, when are we going to see the bug models, and when do you expect them to come out?
You're really on about those bugs.
Oh, the bugs have got some cool rules. Yeah, the bugs have got some cool rules I like.
I can tell, but come on, man. Give him a break.
Now I'm going to bug him. That's kind of my job. Give him shitola. He'll say it whenever he can. So what time is it, by the way? It's pretty much media time.
Media time.
Excellent.
Probably a good time to thank all of our sponsors, too. Mechanica Studio, Tectonicraft Studios, Archidance, specifically for the media section, this and everything else. And then, of course, Views on Minis in general, because they've been really awesome to us.
Yeah. Also, guys, if you buy anything from Views, make sure you use the discount code MoreThanDice. It is we'll give you a 10% discount on anything you buy there. On top of that, go to our webpage and you can check out and buy our zones and our measuring sets and our tournament set. That money comes to us. Yep, comes to us, which we are trying to update and get better equipment, so we have less issues. We need.
And for those of you guys playing not necessarily War Machine Hordes, we are thinking about packaging stuff in different ways. We just need just to get through what we got and then figure out what we're going to do with them. So people have mentioned they want like multiple flags to use for 40K and all because they're very cool flags.
Yes, they are. Also, if you like everything and you want to help us out and support us, you can support us on Patreon too. Let's switch over to media. Actually.
Media.
Oh, there
Party time, excellent.
It's really dark in my room right now.
I feel like we need this little,
Ooh, it's dark. Gonzo's like in a horror movie.
I'm trying.
Make smart decisions, Gonzo, in a horror movie.
I'm going to run towards the guy with the chainsaw.
That's what I would do. Let's be honest.
Best, unless you're planning on doing a drop kick.
I will drop kick him.
I mean,
Guy's got a chainsaw and a clown face. I will absolutely be running towards him to try and make friends.
Especially if the clown faces.
I have no judgment.
Okay, very well. It's like that commercial. Anyways, media section. I think, Kathy, how many things do you have?
I have nothing.
Nothing.
Today I spent the morning watching old German detective shows on MHZ.com. So yeah. No, not really anything to talk about.
Hey, Ronald, how you doing? Ronald's one of the few people who shows up for my Monday through Thursday hobby streak streams.
Awesome.
Oh, we got some more people jumping in just for the media section, which is cool.
Woohoo!
It's Adam. Hey, Adam.
Gonzo, you have like 17 things to talk about, so you should probably start.
I have 73 things to talk about. Specifically.
Adam's just in time for our media section where we talk about all of the movies and TV shows that we've seen and books we've read and music we've listened to.
Yeah, I got 3 things to talk about: 2 movies and then something from YouTube.
And I've got nothing.
You get German detective shows.
I won't talk about those though. They're old and subtitled.
All right, so let's go with this. I've been working on this one series, and I've been working on The Order, which is a Netflix show, and it's about mages and werewolves. I finally finished the entire series, or season, I should say, because it's supposedly coming back for season 2. I'm a big sucker for werewolf, vampire, mage type thing because of the old, White Wolf stuff, Vampire the Masquerade and such, and I was like excited for it. And, I'm watching it and I'm like, I'm happy. And then some of the actors open their mouth and then I'm sad.
Oh, I was hoping that might be good.
There are some scenes I'm like, yeah, this is a really good episode. And then someone opens their mouth and says this line that is shitty. And it's like, really? Who wrote this? It's like they got to get someone to write really good. And then all of a sudden they hired a 12-year-old that's, going through a hormonal stage of,
it's like it's a CW program?
Not that. It's just, it was just so bad.
Kathy being brutal over there. That's awesome.
It does have a CW feel to it. It does have a CW vibe. There is some really cool things that happen in it. There's some really cool story. And then every once in a while, the mood just gets bad. And I mean real bad. And I'm just like, damn, guys. And there's some characters I do like. The main character is not my favorite character.
But Gonzo, is it like, how bad? Are we talking like, does it go from like solid watchable to Twilight? Or solid watchable to Atlantic Rim?
Solid watchable to Twilight.
Okay.
The werewolves are really cool. They've got a neat story. They got a cool story. The special effects were really good. They look like werewolves. They're not, derpy or anything. They're kind of generic, in the sense. The people that are werewolves, they've got this cool thing going on. I like who they are. I like what they do. I like everything about them. The mages are your typical, secret society, casting spells. They hit on both groups quite a bit. Just some of the lines they write are just total trash. And I'm like, damn, if you could have cut out that one little part, you would have had me. I'm not care if there's a second season or not.
Wow.
If they do, which from last I saw, they are. And I'm like, okay, second season, cool, yeah. But I'm not going to be upset if I don't get to see it. I'm sure I'll watch it because it's going to come out and so I can give a good review. And hopefully they'll do better this time, especially with the writing. There was some twists at the end. You kind of saw it coming and, everything. There was...
Unless they hire new writers and fire everybody else, then no.
Well, but there's only certain scenes and there's only certain lines that were bad. But I know that I will say the last scene and the last bit before the show is over, there's a song that is played, and it's a remake of an 80s song. And I'm going to look it up real quick because I totally forgot to pull it up before we did this. And it Must Have Been Love by Kathleen Edwards. That plays at the end, a very, very slow, sad version of the song. And it really set the tone at the end. And you were like, fuck, that sucks.
That's a reasonably sad song at the normal,
correct.
At the normal pace when Roxette plays it. And it's slower and sadder. Jesus.
Yes. And so the ending was a good ending, but there's just these little small parts in it that are like, Really, guys? Yeah, we knew that. Oh shit! Damn it! You had
They
to
need
say
to get
that.
David Mamet in there to hire to do some dialogue for him.
It's just I was just like upset beyond
Some
belief.
people are great at plot but rubbish at dialogue.
Yeah,
Yeah, no doubt.
just wasn't happy. It did have a CW vibe, but
Also, I need to interrupt right here. I just saw Alan Blunt's comment, "Ooh, Kathy Wapple." Did you not know it was me?
Oh,
I
Ronald also asked how's Tiny Kathy.
That's why. And Tiny Kathy is looking forward to Adepticon and seeing all of the other people's tiny people.
so
And, but yeah, Alan, that's why I was like, I would hug you if you were at Adepticon, but I'll miss you since you're not going to be there because it's me, Kathy Wapple, and you know me. I'm not just some,
I think she knows both of us.
so
In any case, Gonzo. Shots of Kraken. I was old
Sorry,
school.
yeah.
Space herpes.
Space Harpies
yeah.
like 2.5, 2 to 2.5.
So like,
It
if
would
you've
sound
got-
like a 3, but 2.5. Okay.
Maybe
that's
2.5 to 3. It's just pushing it. They're just like scenes or lines that you're just like, shit, shut the hell up. Go to the good stuff.
Cringing.
Yeah, that you just cringe at. If you don't like CW style shows, you're not going to like it.
Okay.
You'll just fall right out of it.
Fair enough.
So, Archeon says on our Twitch, if you like comic book shows, you have to try and watch Doom Patrol. It's so much better and fun than the Arrow universe already.
Yep.
I would, but I don't want to have to pay for another service just to watch more shows. I don't watch all the shows that are on the services I have. They need to get on somebody else's service.
So that's not a Netflix?
No, it's on the DC one. You have to buy it separately.
Oh.
I hear the stuff on it is very good, and some of these, as they add more stuff, it could be really worth it. But until they do, it's like I don't quite have that much disposable income.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even with Discovery, and I would love to watch that because I'm a Trek fan.
Yeah, I kind of want to too, but I just can't bring myself to. Especially not for for a company that should know better because they ain't offering shit.
So 2.5, maybe 3. I'm just sad.
Just sad. Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Helena Torch, yes, bad Archeon, but fair enough. So I have 2 movies and a YouTube to go through. One of the movies is modern. Actually, neither of the movies are set in modern times, but one of them is actually an old movie. I'll start with that one. I watched Hard Boiled since my buddy the Jason finally returned my copy of it after borrowing it for many years and not watching it. Which is the worst part about borrowing it for many years is not watching it. So, I might be able to see it. Alan might help me out with the Doom Patrol. That's interesting. I might think of checking that. But Hard Boiled is Hong Kong cinema, John Woo directed, starring Chow Yun-fat. It is definitely, I would call it the pinnacle of heroic bloodshed, but if you told me the killer was instead, I would not argue too hard with you. Because I do love both those movies. And the whole plot of this movie is basically arms dealers in Hong Kong before the British took back over, so 80s, mid-80s. And Chow Yun-fat is the main character, a Hong Kong police detective named Tequila, or nicknamed Tequila. Mm-hmm. You don't actually get his full name because it's not fucking necessary. And he is just sort of like... There's not a lot of character growth through these movies. There's more about the spectacle of what they're doing than any sort of character growth in this movie. But it was a great introduction for Western audiences to the wonder that is Hong Kong heroic bloodshed, and super fun. You'll notice actors here or there because, they're in Jackie Chan movies and what have you. It's a small pool of people over in Hong Kong they use. And the whole point is he's investigating this arms dealing, and there's another guy who is actually a cop, but he has to pretend to be a triad assassin to try and get in and get all the information the cops need. And it's sort of them finding out about each other, teaming up, and taking them down. For the most part, this whole movie is predicated upon 3 main action scenes. There's an intro where there's a gunfight in a sort of a tea house that also lets you have birds in there. So there's lots of birds and bird cages and all that. Apparently, that's a thing they do. And then the second one is this fight in a warehouse. It's sort of multi-layered. It starts off bad guys versus bad guys. It's very one-sided with the one bad guy side winning. And then Giant Fat attacks the other bad guys by himself and like kills many, 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 many dudes. It is completely out of control. And then the final fight scene is like a 45-minute fight in a hospital, including, which up until, I guess, about 10 years ago, was the longest continuous scene in film with no cuts. That was like 6 minutes and change of them fighting through some hallways. And what's so great about it is they actually go into an elevator at a point, with the camera and all that, and like they're moving, while everyone outside furiously cleans up the set and sets up for the next part of the scene.
Good night, Alan.
It is great. I love the movie. It's super awesome. If you want realistic, you have come to the wrong fucking place. I'm pretty sure in the first scene he grabs 2 9mm or whatever with about 10 to 12 rounds of magazine and probably fires about 45 out of each.
Sweet.
But it is a hoot. It is great. I love it. It is slightly dated, so if you don't have the nostalgic love that I do for it, you may not like it quite as much. But I give it... Yeah, I'm going to give it 0 space herpes. Giant Fat gets no space herpes in this. It is fucking awesome. It is, like I said, I consider it the pinnacle of that particular genre, at least of what I've seen. After they started moving to America, I didn't see as much. I didn't import them as much. But I love that. I love the killer. And Giant Fat is great. It goes to show how if you get a good actor with good screen presence, he can just carry a fucking movie, and he does. Doesn't get too silly. It doesn't get too silly at any point, just unrealistic. But very amusing. I suggest checking it out if you haven't.
I know that you've got one big one that you want to talk about, and I've got 4 more to go. So I'm gonna combine a couple of them together.
Sure.
Star Trek Discovery, still solid. If you're not watching it, I'm sorry, and you can't watch it, I'm sorry. It's still good. Ricky Gervais has a new series out. It's only 6 episodes, and it's 30 minutes each. It's called Afterlife. The story is about a guy that lost his wife, and it's a dark comedy. Of course, dark British comedy. So it's really morbid at times. If you like Ricky Gervais, you're going to like this. I thought it was okay. So, 1.5, 2 space herpes type thing. Not bad, but I wanted more. 6 episodes at 30 minutes is really short. So I don't know if it's going to get more episodes or not. The way it ended was just fine. I'm okay with it. And I've got one I want to talk about a lot, but the one I watched Christopher Robin's, which I'm a huge Winnie the Pooh fan. I loved it as a kid, everything, and to see Winnie the Pooh on live action, okay, it was kind of neat. Special effects are really cool. All the animals making their appearance in live form were really neat. There's some very good Pooh moments, which all we know is Pooh is a dim-witted, lovable person, and makes some of the greatest one-lines type thing in the show. But the show is very boring. And it's sad because, it's got Obi-Wan Kenobi in it and Pooh Bear. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? But I mean, it is... Ooh, did John just go off air?
I don't know. I think we might have lost him.
Looks like we have. But it was very, very flat and boring. I was very upset with that. I wonder if he can auto-connect. If not, we'll find out. He'll text us in a minute. I was very saddened that this movie was very flat and bleh. There was nothing about it that I liked. Story-wise, it was...
Binion says, don't look at me, not my fault. Okay, good.
So for overall, it was okay, but it was very slow and very boring. You're just waiting for stuff to happen, and that was about it. Um, hey Benyon, if he needs me to call him back, let me know. Um, but I'm okay with it. I could have missed it, and I would have been okay with it. And that's kind of sad because Winnie the Pooh's awesome. So 2.5, maybe 3. Other than that, there he is, John Beck.
Which is really silly because I could hear you guys up until the point where I switched from one to the other
camera
network.
Oh, whoops.
Interesting.
Don't know what it was. I blame Banyan, even though he said it wasn't his fault.
So, skip it. Really. If you're a Winnie the Pooh fan, skip it. You and McGregor fan, skip it.
That's too bad.
I'm going to give you the last bit of this, John, because I know that you're going to want to talk. I'm pretty sure you got a lot to say about on Captain Marvel.
Well, let me jump to my other one in real quick then for like 2 minutes.
Okay.
It's a YouTube channel called Film Joy. The show I watch, generally speaking, is called Movies with Mikey. He is amusing, goes really sort of deeper than you'd think, but not too deep on movies, and has a lot of wonderful things to say about movies and movie ideas. Just check it out.
Okay. I watched another Netflix series, and that is Love, Death, and Robots.
I've heard about that.
Love, Death, and Robots is 18 episodes. Each episode can range from between 5 minutes to like 20 minutes. Very few are 15 to 20 minutes. And I remember when this show was called Liquid Television on MTV.
Okay, I'm with you now. I know what you're talking about. I got you.
It is nothing but short stories and weird type things. Kind of like have a heavy metal vibe to it. It is very adult. There is a lot of graphic violence, nudity, and sex. There is some of the most amazing animation and art I've seen in a long time. It is incredibly good. If you're definitely not offended by any of that stuff, you have to watch it. And just kind of a breakdown of, some of the things. Like the first one, the first episode is about people, monster fighting. And so, like, it's this, kaiju fighting type stuff. And it's, like, really, really, really good. Next one is about 3 robots after the apocalypse, and it is hilarious as shit. The Witness is it's one of the most beautiful animations I've seen in a long time, color-wise. Very graphic. There was only like 2 that were kind of like, that I just didn't care about too much. There were some that I could see being a full-time series. Which, if anybody knows or remembers Liquid Television, that's where Aeon Flux came about. That's where Beavis and Butthead came about. So, I think this could really good. If you have the time, and like I said, each episode is between 5 and 20 minutes, so you could binge watch quite a bit and still be pretty good. There was one I just didn't care about, and then there was quite a few I was like, holy shit, this is good. And you've got to watch a show where the title of the show is When the Yogurt Took Over. It's just hilarious.
Alternate remind me of the refrigerator episode of Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. Alternate histories. There is some really, really good animation, really cool styles, really cool art. Just really good, guys. Like this, one of my favorites has got to be 3 Robots. Just because it's hilarious and the way it's done and the direction. But fair warning, it is very graphic. There's a lot of nudity. There's sex. It's definitely an adult show. And they don't hold any punches back on a lot of things. There is a werewolf episode, which is really good. And then they do mix some live action and animation together. Which, if some people said that, what is the one? Ice Age, about a young couple that moves in an apartment and find a lost civilization hidden in their antique freezer. which was still pretty good. Go watch it. You will enjoy it. Just everything about it. There's a lot of twists and plots and all this other stuff that go on that you're kind of like Inception style stuff going in. I hope they make another season. I really would like a couple of these to be done into a TV series, especially what is it? Shapeshifters. It's about two Marines with supernatural powers in Afghanistan. I was like, that was really cool. There's a lot of cool ones in here. Definitely go watch it. Just cue it up, sit back. And the thing is, you can't look away and do something. So this is what I was really happy about. I was actually glued and stuck to it and went through the whole thing. Everything that happened on it. Super, super good. Zero space RPs at all. Definitely go watch it. All yours, John.
Uh-oh. Did we lose John again? Is he still there?
No, he's there.
All right, because I could talk about...
Okay, we can see.
Talk about one of my German shows.
Now he's here.
So obviously the other one I saw was Captain Marvel. I saw it Monday with Not Brushhead Dave. And, I enjoyed it. Let's just say that. I did listen to your guys' review of it a little bit. And I wanted to say something, because this also came up on Twitter, is I don't get where everyone draws the Superman parallels from. I don't get it.
I think what the people do is they draw the parallel because it's an outer space alien that comes in and tries to have the same type of style.
Flying, super strong.
She's human. I mean, I would say, honestly, she is very far from Superman as far as, aside from powers, the rest of it is very far from Superman, because the best note I saw is Captain America keeps fighting because it's the right thing to do. She keeps fighting because fuck you. Which is true. And I've heard complaints. Now, there's a lot of negativity about this. Don't let it put you off. This is a very good movie. Yes. Very enjoyable. The negativity is mostly people who have it's a them problem with the movie, not a problem with the movie. They didn't like something, it didn't match up with their headcanon.
Yeah.
Or their closet sexists and don't know what the hell they're talking about. I know Alan wasn't the biggest fan of it. He thought some of the male-to-female swaps in the movie were bad. I don't agree. I thought it was fine. What else? It was unfortunate someone came in and started cutting onions right next to me right at the beginning where they flapped through the Marvel thing. With Stanley instead of all the things, all of his cameos.
Yeah.
Someone came in and started cutting onions. It was terrible. That was good. I did notice also in your guys' review, someone mentioned that they should do CGI Stan Lee cameos. I do not think they should. That would be missing the point. He's gone. It's terrible, but it's the way it is.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a thing that people are.
He's got two more in the bag. I think he's got Through Spider-Man: Far From Home in the bag.
Yeah, that's what I had heard, was that he had recorded a few more. So. But, I think it was a friend of mine who said something, was asking about that, if they were going to just CGI him like they did with Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, it's okay if it's like an actual plot point like Carrie Fisher. I actually think Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One, not to digress too much, really should have been recast because the amount of time he was in there.
Yeah.
Something short, CGI, thumbs up, long, now. And cameos, the point of the cameo is the cameo, not... But, in any case, it was a very good movie. I liked them placing it in the 90s. It really felt like the 90s. The soundtrack was great. It wasn't quite Guardian. A lot of people mentioned this too, and I agree. It wasn't quite Guardians great with the placement, but it was good. It really made you feel like it was the 90s. And a lot of songs really gave you her personality. And it really spoke to me.
Yes.
They were good choices. I've heard a lot of people going like, oh, someone even said this, men aren't that bad, because she had a lot of men doing really sexist things to her in the movie. I'm like, A, 90s, B, yes. Yes, sometimes we are. I am sorry. But there's a little bit of, if you will, that social justice warrior in there, but that's not the point of the movie. The point's actually much more political than that, as funny as it is. But a good point. Has some good twists and plots in it. I don't want to give any away, so I'm trying to be vague. Overall, Not Brushhead Dave and I thought it was the second best Marvel origin movie. More funny than us agreeing on that was we don't agree what number one is. He thinks number one's Iron Man. I think number one's Captain America. Not that any of the three of these movies are bad in any way, shape, or form. They're all great, great introductions to characters. And I feel like it was just what we needed at this time. You know, I mentioned that, you know, it's no big secret that I'm not the biggest fan of Infinity War. Having watched more movies with bittersweet endings recently and talked about a bunch of them, I felt like it missed the mark pretty heavily as far as that. Still a great movie, don't get me wrong. Still really good movie. But I think this was exactly what we needed. The only note to that was one of the post credits, which is cool. And it has one of the best movie cats ever.
Yes.
Yes.
And overall, just enjoyable and good. I look forward to seeing it again with my mom when it hits a cheap theater because she's very interested in seeing it. I look forward to that. And very good. I give it much better than you two. I give it a half a space herpy. And that may just be a scroll transformed into a space herpy. I can't tell, but you never can.
Yeah, I laughed. Albanian says, laugh so hard at that cat. Yeah, me too. I was wondering how many cats are going to be named Flurkin in the next few years. Or Goose. Yeah.
After the second best wingman. And another note on the Marvel thing while we're on it real quick. If everyone didn't hear, Marvel did just rehire James Gunn for Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yep.
Yes, did hear that, yeah.
And from what I hear, he is still doing the new Suicide Squad movie, too. So, hey, interesting.
Which Will Smith dropped out of, by the way.
What's that?
Will Smith dropped out of the new Suicide Squad.
Yeah, but didn't they get, like, Idris Elba instead?
Yeah, they did get someone else.
I mean, I like Will Smith, but Idris Elba is, in this kind of movie, is an upgrade.
Oh, yeah.
Because he will act the shit out of it, and they won't feel like he needs to be the focus of the movie, which, if we go back into Suicide Squad, it is one of the problems of Suicide Squad, the biggest problem. Not that Will Smith is bad, far from it.
Correct.
If they made him the focus of the movie when he shouldn't have been, but neither here nor there. Hey, Case, go see Captain Marvel. It's good.
Yes, it is good for people that.
All right.
It is. And I believe that is our episode.
We are at our 2-minute warning.
2-minute warning, guys. We want to thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate y'all doing this, hanging out with us, talking, having a good time, and just chilling with us. Be on the lookout Monday and Thursday. Kathy will be painting live. I am on spring break.
She's on Twitch. You're on Twitch.
Yep, on Twitch.
And then for everyone else, Monday through Thursday, I try and do my Hobby Streak live at about 9:30 on Facebook.
At night. Whereas I stream in the morning.
Yes. At night. Thank you, Kathy. No, 9:30, I'm at work at my desk grumbling. Well, not always grumbling. Sometimes grumbling.
No one wants to assume. But yeah, thank you everybody for showing up. And if you have a topic you would like us to discuss, definitely send us a whisper on Twitch or a message on Facebook. We would be happy to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, we had a good little subtopic in the terms about fully painted tournaments and events and all. It was actually quite interesting if you guys go through on the video version and take a look at the chat room. There's quite a bit of back and forth between everyone about that. It was very interesting.
Also, I wanted to say it is St. Patrick's Day. Make sure everybody gets home safe. Also, to a happy birthday to my friend that passed away, Kim. It is her birthday, and I still miss her to this day. So please be careful. Please be safe out there, guys. Have a good night. For More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm Kathy.
John.
Good night.
Bad Crimson, no, it's not be the next. Lord, are you ranting about this?
I don't know what I would have to say to that.
We'll have to wait.
No, man.
Maybe you can do your own one, your own minis and movies on it, John.
Oh, yeah, because I keep giving you guys all the good topics for minis and movies. I'm like, give me a good topic, I got nothing to record now. Damn it.